What is going on, everybody? It is time for the NFL playoffs. So I wanted to hop on here and give you guys my predictions, my 2 cents for all that I think is going to happen during this postseason run in the NFL. It all kicks off this Saturday at 4:30. I cannot wait. I'm super pumped, super excited. And yeah, let's just dive right into it. It all starts Saturday at 4:30 where the San Francisco 49ers host the Seattle Seahawks. The San Francisco 49ers have been rolling. They're probably the hottest team in the NFC when it comes down to it. They're like the Bengals of the AFC. The Bengals are the Bills, where they're just hot. They're rolling. Um, and I believe they keep rolling here. I tossed and I turned with an upset, if I'm being honest. I think Seattle keeps this close. I think that Pete Carroll's going to coach them up. I think, these games are different when it comes down to postseason. You got to be able to run and defend. And I think Seattle is gritty enough on defense to figure out a scheme to try to stop their run game and make Brock Purdy beat them. And I think that is really interesting. Can Brock Purdy lead a team into the playoffs and pick up a win in his first career postseason start? It's going to be really, really tough. I think it's a close game, but I think the 49ers win 20-17 and move on. The second game of Super Wildcard Weekend is, I believe, one of the games of the weekend. The Chargers go on the road to play the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars winning the AFC South, playing really good football off of their bye. I have the Jaguars winning. I understand that the Chargers probably have more flash, more meat on the bone when it comes to Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, potentially Mike Williams. His status is up in the air. But even, Gerald Everett, Joshua Palmer, DeAndre Carter, like, dude, they have weapons galore out there in Los Angeles. And of course, Justin Herbert under center. But I just see something with this Jags team. Their defense is fiery. Their defense is fast, physical, fun to watch. They get after the quarterback. They're pretty strong in their secondary as well. I think that Coach Peterson, Doug Peterson, coaches an absolute gym against Brendan Stanley, and I think the Jacksonville Jaguars win this game 23-16. I don't think the Chargers are going to be able to move the ball as effectively, but I still think they put up some points. They got too good of offense, not too, in my opinion. But I do think the Jags get a late touchdown and kind of put this one away. And Trevor Lawrence picks up his first career postseason W at home. The next game is Sunday. It kicks off at 1 o'clock. The Buffalo Bills host their division rival, if you will, the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins are starting Skyler, but they do have weapons galore, as I said with the Chargers. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. I was there for the Thursday night game against the Bengals, and dude, them guys are so fast. Like some of the fastest humans I've ever seen in my life in person. Like they fly. My buddy, he's a huge Bills fan. I texted him. I said, dude, these guys are fast, like flying around the field. Raheem Mostert is super fast as well, but it looks like he might not be able to play. With Skylar Thompson, I think it's too much to overcome with the hot Buffalo Bills team. A lot of people are thinking they're the team of destiny, and they might be with the situations they've gone through before the season, into the season, and late into the season. But I do think they pick up a win against the Dolphins. I'll say 23-12 or 23-10. Sorry, 23-10. The next game is another potential game of the weekend. The Minnesota Vikings host the New York Giants. And I know a lot of people are calling for an upset here. I know a lot of people are on this giant bandwagon. I love Coach Dable. Brian Dable is awesome. Yeah, he is so relatable. I watch Pat McAfee show. He's so relatable. He just has that uncle body, the goatee, the big belly. He just looks like a lovable, fun guy. But the Minnesota Vikings are, I believe, one of the most slept on teams in the NFL. And it's probably because their quarterback's Kirk Cousins, but Kirk Cousins just continues to put out year after year, winning seasons, great seasons. I'm on the Vikings wagon, and I have them beating the New York Football Giants this weekend emphatically 34-20. I have the Vikings really putting up a good number and punching the Giants right in the mouth. And the Giants just don't have enough firepower, in my opinion, to keep up with the Minnesota Vikings. And for Sunday Night Football, The Cincinnati Bengals host the Baltimore Ravens. I'll be in attendance. Cannot wait. Super fired up. I think the Bengals get the job done, and I think the final score is 24-7. I don't think it's very close. I think the Baltimore Ravens are going to struggle to move the ball. I think they're going to try to make it a really ugly game. But I just think that the Bengals dominate the game, control the clock, and take their win. I don't think they try to do anything too flashy, try to beat them like 38-7, but I do think they win emphatically 24-7. And the Monday night game, a game that's really interesting. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers host the Dallas Cowboys on Monday Night Football. Tom Brady's hard to figure out this year. A lot of people again are on the Tampa Bay is going to get this thing done. Tom Brady is set up for success. Every other year since 2013, the year he doesn't win the Super Bowl, the next year he does. And for those of you that don't know, he didn't win the Super Bowl last year. So a lot of people are thinking, okay, this is the year that, that streak continues and he wins. But I have them getting beaten at home on Monday Night Football. I think the Cowboys come in there really juiced up, really fired up, coming off a huge loss. I don't think the Bucs secondary can handle CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Tony Pollard, Dalton Schultz. Like, I don't think they can handle that side of the Cowboys. And I think Dak plays really well. He's coming off a kind of a clunker, but Dallas has everything you want: a dominant defense, a solid run game with Zeke and Tony Pollard. I have the Cowboys actually winning 28-17. I just think that the Bucs, they are what they are this year. They're not very good, and that's okay. Maybe they figured something out the last week of the year. It looked like Mike Evans finally got rolling. Tom Brady started connecting on deep balls, but I'm not in on it. I have the Cowboys getting it done and defeating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So that leaves, I'm just going to go right into the NFC here. The number one seeded Philadelphia Eagles would play against the Dallas Cowboys, a divisional matchup. I hate divisional matchups in the playoffs, and we have so many of them, in this wildcard weekend. But, again, a divisional matchup. I have the Philadelphia Eagles getting the job done. I praised the Cowboys. I think they have what it takes to make a really deep run. And it wouldn't surprise me if they make the NFC Championship game. But I just think the Eagles, off another week of rest, Jalen Hurts can continue to get right. Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, those boys, Dallas Goedert keeps getting healthy and looks great. Their offensive line is really, really solid. They can beat you in so many different ways, over the top, in the run game. Their defense is strong. They turn you over. They play really physical. I think that they're frauds, which is crazy to say. But I think I'm not going to say fraud. I think that's the wrong word. I don't think they're as good as people think they are, but also I don't think the NFC is any good either. I don't think, outside of maybe one team, that there's like, holy cow, this team is unbelievable. And that's 49ers. Everybody knows it. But I do have Philly defeating the Dallas Cowboys 24-21. I think this is a very close, highly contested game, slugfest, but I think Philly gets it done. And then I have the 49ers hosting the Minnesota Vikings, and I have the Vikings walking in to San Francisco and pulling off a major upset. I'm all in on this Vikings team this postseason. I might be stupid for putting all my nuggets in their basket, putting all my eggs in their basket, if you will, but I'm really high on Kirk Cousins in this playoff run. I think he's out to prove something. And I love this Vikings team. I think they're really fun. Alexander Madison's really good. If Dalvin Cook's healthy, he's really, really good. Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, the veteran. And TJ Hawkinson with Irv Smith potentially coming back. I'm just all in on this Vikings team. I think they're a lot of fun. They're dangerous. They're playing with, house money in terms of nobody's really believing in them. And I think they get the job done against San Fran. And then Philly and the Minnesota Vikings in the NFC Championship game. I think Philly does come out on top over the Minnesota Vikings, though. Another tight one. I really wanted to go with the Vikings, but I just couldn't. I have the Philadelphia Eagles winning 21-20 over the Vikings. I think, or 24-21. No, that was the Dallas 27-21. Sorry. Philly gets it done. I think it's a fun game. Offense will be popping. Kirk versus Jalen Hurts, everybody would be like, "Holy cow, how did Kirk Cousins do it?" I wouldn't be surprised if Minnesota gets it done. I want to say that I had a dream. I kid you not, like 5 weeks ago, that the Minnesota Vikings and the Cincinnati Bengals were playing in a Super Bowl. And if it happens, I'm not going to say I'm a prophet, but I'm pretty close to it, right? But I did have a dream of the Vikings and the Bengals played in the Super Bowl. I put a little money on that potential matchup prop 5 weeks ago. So if it happens, I'll be a happy man. But flipping the page to the AFC to see who I have coming out of the AFC. So if you didn't already, the NFC champ I have is the Philadelphia Eagles. The Kansas City Chiefs would then host the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I have the surprise here again. I have the Jags beating the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead and moving on to the AFC Championship game. There's just something I love about this Jacksonville Jaguars team. I don't know if they remind me of the Bengals last year, where they're young, they get their first playoff win. They have a really up and coming quarterback that I love, who's really really good. They have the playmakers. They have the running back. They have the coach. They have the young offensive minded coach that connects well with their quarterback. And it seems everything's clicking at the right time where it didn't look pretty all season, but yet here they are in the perfect spot, just coming off of a huge win against the Chargers and now going on the road, playing with house money against the number one seed. Nobody thinks you're going to win. And then you walk in there and you get the job done. And I think that's exactly what they're going to do and move on to the AFC Championship game. And then the Bills, I think this is like a last year situation. If this matchup were to happen, where everybody thinks this is going to be the Super Bowl, it's like the Chiefs and the Bills last year, right? Where everybody thinks the Bills and the Chiefs are the Super Bowl, and then you have the lurker and the Bengals. This has all the makeup for that sort of thing. But I do have the Bengals coming out on top against the Bills. I think you saw it early in the Monday Night Football game. I don't think the Bills can guard the Bengals, and I think it'd be a very fun run and gun because I don't know if the Bengals can guard the Bills either. But I do know Lou Anarumo for the Bengals is a mad scientist when it comes to stopping offenses that nobody thinks can be stopped. And I think he does a dang good job at it. And I think he gets the guys to buy in. And I just think the Bengals are on a revenge tour like feeling. And so I have them going into Bills Mafia and picking up a huge win. It would make my AFC Championship game the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Cincinnati Bengals. I think this would be a lot of fun. I do have the Bengals coming out on top against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think that their historic, fun, exciting run comes to an end in Cincinnati, even though, like I said, I think it'd be a fun game. I think Jacksonville could sneak up on the Bengals and absolutely rock their world. They'd be playing with house money. The Bengals would have to be defending their championship per se, the AFC championship, but I think Cincinnati would be rocking. I think Trevor Lawrence would make a few throws, a few errors. Joe Burrow versus Trevor Lawrence. It'd be storybook. It'd be a lot of fun. But I do have the Bengals coming out. So then that makes my Super Bowl the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Philadelphia Eagles. And I do have the Bengals coming out on top 32-21. Again, I just think it's a revenge tour. I'm getting that type of vibe anytime I look at this playoff run. Call me a homer. Call me whatever you want to. But I think the Cincinnati Bengals are built for this run this year. I could be wrong because the Bills, like I said, it feels like destiny this year, just with everything going on. It's like the Lakers championship of 2020. Not as extreme when it comes to a death, but a near death experience for the Bills and their organization, their team. Dawson Knox having to go through what he had to go through with his brother. And then before the season, the shooting in Buffalo. So, there's been a lot going on with that community that I think a championship would make a lot of sense in the storybook realm. But I do have the Bengals winning the AFC, winning the Super Bowl, and beating the Philadelphia Eagles 32-21. Thank you guys so much for watching. Post your predictions down below. I want to see them. I want to hear them. Who do you guys have coming out of the AFC, NFC, and then the Super Bowl? Thank you guys again. Like, comment, and subscribe.